Hey Pre-calc kids, welcome to 2.4b. Okay, we're going to do a quick reminder of the remainder theorem. Okay, first things first, let's say we have something like 3x to the 50th minus 2x plus 1, and we're dividing that by x minus 3. And we want to find out what's the remainder. Well, remember I'm always using my x minus k or x minus h, depending on what letter you use. Let's take a peek at what letter I use. That's k. So my k is going to be 3, right? K equals 3. So my remainder theorem says if I take f of 3, I'm going to get my remainder. So f of 3 is 3 times 3 to the 50th power minus 2 times 3 plus 1. And when I do this in my head or use Wolfram alpha, you get this beast. Okay, I'm not even going to try an alpha, comma. So see how difficult this long division would have been? It would take you, well, at least 51 steps. Okay, when you could have just gotten a remainder by plugging it in. Okay? Okay. Onward and forward. Here, let's get some noteworthy stuff. The first thing we're going to look at is the factor theorem. Factor theorem says a polynomial function f of x has a factor of x minus k if and only if f of k is 0. What that says is when you factor something, you have to be able to plug your k in and get 0 for your function. Okay? For example, you know, x minus 2 times x plus 1. X minus 2 is a factor because what's f of 2? It's going to be 2 minus 2 times 2 plus 1, which is 0 times 3, which is 0. So that's why we know 2 is a factor. That when k equals 2, x minus k, that it equals 0. So we're going to use that to determine if x plus 2 is a factor of 4x to the third plus 9x squared minus 3x minus 10. This is very much similar to the remainder theorem. I'll give you guys a second to write. We will do music trivia. That's all you get. Okay, let's do this beast. So here's where we're going next. They're asking, is x plus 2 a factor of this? Now remember, that means we're going to take and we're going to plug in our f of k. Now for this problem, what's our k equal to? Well, x plus 2 is not in the x minus k form. So I got to think about it this way. That's the same thing as x minus negative 2, right? So my k is negative 2. Okay? Everything's going to be x minus k. So I plug in negative 2 to my function. So 4 times negative 2 cubed plus 9 times negative 2 squared minus 3 times negative 2 minus 10. Okay, so here we get negative 8 times 4 is negative 32, plus 4 times 9 is 36, minus negative 6, so plus 6, minus 10. So if I do some real fancy math here, what do I get? Let's see, negative 42 plus 42, which is 0. Okay, so if you get 0, then negative 2 is a factor. Or I'm sorry, then x plus 2 is a factor. And we got 0, so it is. If you get any number besides 0, it is not a factor. So just plug in your k. You get 0, it's a factor. Don't get 0, not a factor. Okay? Going onward and forward. We're going to talk about synthetic division. Now, synthetic, you might be thinking, is that fake division? It kind of is. Okay. I really like synthetic division because it's quick, it's easy, but you don't see why it works. That's why some people don't like it. Okay, first step in synthetic division is you draw a box up here in your toner paper. Again, this is definitely noteworthy. This is going to be a big thing what we're going to be doing the rest of this chapter, so make sure you know synthetic division. I'll even do 2 examples of it. Okay, so you put your k up here. Now our k on this one, remember it's always x minus k, is 1, right? Okay. Then here you put down your coefficients for each one. I'll circle and put it here. So we go 3, -2, 1. Yeah, it's black. And -5. Okay? And then you draw a line down here. Okay. Now, alright. First step, you take your first coefficient, you bring her straight down. So there's our 3. Okay? Now, you take your k, you're going to go 1 times this guy here. 3. Okay? Okay. You add these two together. -2 plus 3 is 1. Okay? Next thing I'm going to do is I take my k, I times it by my result down here, and that's going to come up 1. 1 times 1 is 1. I'm going to add these together. 1 plus 1 is 2. Okay? Okay. Okay. So I take my k, times it by this guy, times my 2. 1 times 2 is 2, plus -5 is -3. What does all this mean? Good question. This last number is going to be your remainder. This one doesn't have an x. You add an x. You add an x squared. And you'd keep going if there's more numbers. So that'd be 0x cubed, x to the 4th. Okay, but we don't have those. Add them all together, and you're done. Okay, so the answer would be 3x squared plus x plus 2 with a remainder of -3. So we can slap that -3 over our x minus 1. Okay? I'll let you guys digest that for a second, because I want to do another one. Don't be afraid to look at our place online. A lot of people have made videos on synthetic division. Okay? Let's try something else. Let's do x to the 4th plus 2x squared minus 1 divided by x plus 2. Okay, again, noteworthy example, guys. Last example. Okay. I'm going to draw my box, put my k up here. K's being tricky this time, because again it's x minus k, so that means it's going to be -2 here. I'm going to put my coefficients across. I have 1, because that's my x to the 4th. You don't need to fill in that part. Now you got to remember, you need a placeholder for this x to the 3rd, because there is no x to the 3rd. Right? It's 0x to the 3rd. If you put a 0 there, then we have a 2 for our x squared. Now again, we don't have an x, so that's going to be a 0. And our last guy we're going to put down is our -1, that's our constant. extrinsic constant. That's our x to the 0 power. Okay? I draw my line across here. 1 comes straight down. We get 1. So then I go -2 times 1 for this number, so I get -2. -2 plus 0 is -2. So this comes over. -2 times 2 is -4. I'm sorry. -2 times -2 is +4. Because again, I'm timesing it by my k. -2 times my k. 2 plus 4 is 6. I go -2 times 6. It's -12. 0 minus 12 is -12. -2 times -12. 24. 24 plus -1. 23. Phew. So again, just k times what you got at the bottom, k times what you have at the bottom, k times what you have at the bottom, add it. So that's my remainder. Okay. This is not anything. This would be x squared, and x cubed. Okay. So again, your final answer would be x cubed minus 2x squared plus 6x minus 12 plus 23 over x plus 2. Okay. Again, guys, I'll probably do another example like this in class. The more you do, the better you get at them. I love these because they're just quick. You follow the same thing every time. If you need to go back, rewatch it, that's great. Look up online synthetic division, you'll see 100 other examples. Okay? Enjoy.